By the way, this is decaf coffee. Blaine is pregnant. So when you're pregnant, you can still have up to 200 milligrams a day. And I'm sure it depends on each person's scenario. However, we're still gonna do decaf today just because. Hello world. Today, I'm here in my home city of Austin, Texas. It's brisky out. It's finally cooled off. I think it was like 48 degrees when I drove over here. I'm with a friend of mine. Her name is Blaine. You may have seen her online. We'll get into what she does soon, but she, just for a heads up and a preface, she is the top male dating coach, I'm gonna say in the world. I'm just gonna gas you up.
Let's do it.
Say in the world.
I think it's true.
I would say so too. Huge social media following. Honestly, the tips and the videos are entertaining, and I was lucky enough to meet her like a year ago, and then, I don't know, it just made sense to ask her to come on the show. I think she's gonna have a lot of great perspective. Also, we're gonna make some amazing coffee together. So yeah, let's jump into the coffee.
Let's do it.
Today, what we're gonna make, I call it gas station coffee. So think of like a gas station, and you go in and they always have like that espresso machine, but it's just like cheap, mixed cappuccino, stuff like that. It's very nostalgic for me because I used to go and get that when my grandpa would take me hunting. And he would always, like when I was a kid, and he would get the coffee and I would always get like the hot chocolate. But I would always like sneak like some coffee in there just because I wanted to be cool like him. So this is my take. It's slightly elevated. So yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Can't wait to try it.
Sweet. And you have a little bit of experience making coffee too, you said.
I worked as a waitress in New York City for a little bit, and part of my duty, if someone ordered a latte or an espresso, was manning the coffee machine. But it has been, I guess, like 12 years now.
All right, well, we're gonna see what you got. It's honestly, making espresso is so easy, truthfully. So go ahead and just put it in there and just push it in. There you go. And now it should auto dose as much as we need. I would put that, like put your hand over the top of it first and then kind of give it some taps to get it leveled out a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah.
And now you can tamp it down. Yeah, there you go.
Pack it in.
Nice. Now we're just gonna put it into here. So turn it to the left so you feel it, yep. Awesome. We got our shot glass. And now the hardest part of the whole thing, right? Just press the button.
Woo!
This is always my favorite part to watch. The espresso come out.
Ooh.
I feel like coffee is such an aesthetic thing, you know, when it's being made. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do, we have our espresso made.
Yep.
So for this drink, it's really easy. It's basically mixing an Americano with a hot chocolate packet. That's where like the sweetness and stuff is gonna come from. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna add our water. So we'll take that cup, you just put it here. All right, and we're just gonna fill up with 8 ounces of water first. All right, so we got our hot water. Just add the hot cocoa mix into that. And then we can just use a hand frother to mix it up.
Familiar with these? Maybe not. How do I turn it on?
Just a little switch on top, you like push it. A little
He seems a little slow.
I should have charged him up some. But honestly, you can just use a fork or a spoon or whatever you have to mix it up. It's just, imagine you're mixing a cup of hot cocoa. That's all you gotta do here. And last part, just take the espresso, pour it right on top. Boom, that's it. It's done. And I think this drink has like around 50 calories.
Oh, wow.
So it's super quote unquote healthy. Definitely a better option than like
just missing the marshmallows.
I know. I totally thought about getting some marshmallows too. If it's too hot.
Oh no, it's okay.
Okay, cool.
Tastes like the holidays.
Right, but it's like, it's not overly sweet though, and it's not overly
I don't like
coffee
too
flavored
sweet.
either.
Yeah, it's a nice balance.
Now's the time though. If you had to give that drink, based off of your first impression, a rating out of 10.
Oh, wow.
On the scale of how much you liked it.
Yeah.
What would you give it? And no pressure. You can be totally honest. If it's a 2, give it a 2.
No, I think it's a 7.8.
7.8. I mean, that is what? That's a B-. So I'll take it. That's better than I did in school.
It's a C+.
C+. Okay.
When you say it like that.
Okay, we want to give it a positive.
B.
All right, it's a C+. You're on the verge of a B.
I think it's a B.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's the drink. Super easy to make. Like I said, I think it's around 50 calories. It's got literally 4 grams of sugar. And this is decaf, so you can use regular caffeinated espresso beans if you want. But yeah, super easy to make. So we're gonna hop into our conversation and chat and share this cup of coffee. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back to the Tailgate Coffee Table. Today, I'm joined by a special guest, Blaine Anderson. You may or may not have seen her across social media. She is known as one of the top dating coaches for men in the entire world. She is a speaker. She is a YouTuber. And Blaine, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Really appreciate you coming out. The weather is a little chillier than normal today here in Austin, but it's nice. I'm from the Northwest, so this is the weather that I thrive in.
Yeah.
Like when I can finally wear pants and a shirt, like a long sleeve shirt, I'm like, hell yeah.
No, I'm loving this weather. We had a hot summer, so it's nice to finally be in the crisp fall weather.
Plus, I mean, we have a hot cup of coffee in front of us too if we get too chilly.
What could be better?
Right. So I just want to jump right into things. How did you get into this position of, being a dating coach and becoming known as like the dating coach for men specifically?
Yeah, so I always enjoyed talking to people about dating and relationships, what was going on in their love life. And I would help my guy friends specifically with their dating app profiles. So, back in when I graduated college, 2010s time, I was like, it was when dating apps were just starting to become a thing, and it was no longer weird to meet a stranger from the internet. And so I'd look at my guy friends' profiles and I'd be like, this is really bad. This is not I know you. I know you're an awesome guy with great qualities. That is not coming across in your profile. Let me help you fix it. So I'd fix their profiles, help them get more matches, and it worked because they were bad before. And then I never really saw it as an opportunity for a full-time job. I worked in the travel industry. And then when the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, my travel business was essentially at zero. So I was like, okay, what could I do in the meantime? Maybe I should think more about dating coaching. It's something I've always really enjoyed doing. So that was when I made my first course, my dating master class. Turns out people really liked it. It helped a lot of guys, and it kind of just snowballed from there. The timing was right, and I've been full-time dating coach since 2020.
Wow, that's cool. It sounds like it was pretty much a natural transition into that. It was something that you already, were kind of fired up about, and you just ended up, you intentionally monetized it, but at the beginning it was not intentional that you were going to make it into a full-time career.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the best way to find success. Like, truthfully, anyone that I know that has become extremely successful, it's partially by design, but a lot of it is just to do with like their authentic passion for whatever they're doing. So that's really cool to hear, because I feel like it's not seen enough on social media. Is like, this person is not just a personality, like they literally care so much about what they're doing, and it's kind of hard to get across sometimes, or like feel that way when you're not having a conversation in person. So speaking of conversations in person and dating apps, my question is, what do you think are some of the biggest problems in the dating atmosphere today? I guess from the perspective of a man, and maybe from the perspective of a woman as well.
Yeah, I think this applies probably for both men and women. Over-reliance on dating apps is a huge problem. Dating apps simply aren't going to work or be the best means to meet other people for everybody. And we live in a society where we are so accustomed to everything being at our fingertips. You order food, it arrives at your door. You can stream anything. Like, your groceries come, like, you don't have to interact with anybody. So people assume I should be able to swipe, and have, like a hot boyfriend or girlfriend end up on my couch. And that's just simply not how it works. It requires a lot more effort. It often requires getting outside of your comfort zone. And I think technology in general has made people less willing and open to getting outside their comfort zone, and has made people too accustomed to just being able to live in their little bubble. And I'm not anti-dating apps. Like, I tell all my clients, like, you should use dating apps and you should put your best foot forward there, but you can't solely rely on them as your means of meeting women.
Okay. What do you think makes it so hard for people to meet each other in real life, or to have, natural meet cutes? Or I don't know, do you think it's due to technology, and not just the dating app side, but also just technology as a whole, that has made people so anxious and awkward to go up to somebody?
I think that's absolutely part of it. Technology is one. I think the pandemic exacerbated it. We spent so much time alone and in our houses, so people just got out of practice. And then I think for men also, like the Me Too movement, which was necessary and really beneficial in a lot of ways, but it has made some men very scared about talking to women or approaching women, that they're going to get Me Too'd and that they're going to be perceived as creepy, when the reality is, if you're the guy who's worried about being creepy, you're probably not the problem.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that women feel a similar way, like anxiety about talking to men in real life too? Or do you think that women are generally more open to being approached? Because I know that, you know, a lot of women will say, like, immediately, it's like a joke, right? It's like a meme. Like, a guy will go up to a girl to hand her something that she dropped, and she's like, "Oh, I have a boyfriend." Like, there's that meme out there. So do you think that women are, like, for the most part, do you think women are afraid of men approaching them, or do you think that women are open to it?
I think actually what you just described in the meme, with that meme, is a negative rhetoric around approaching that guys lean into as a reason for why, like, I can't approach. The reality is, I conducted a survey of over 10,000 single women in the US and the UK, and I asked them, do you wish you were approached more often? And I figured it would be like a high yes. 95% said that they wished they were approached more often. Oh, wow. And 97% said they would rather meet their partner in real life than online. Yeah. And that's somewhat self-selecting because it was a survey of single women, which definitely changes things. 2/3 of women in your age range might not even be single. But that's just the reality of dating. So for the most part, especially if you approach appropriately, if you look the part, you know, that means like you don't have to be dressed like a GQ model, but you have your grooming in line, like, you know, you're dressed cleanly, and you strike up a conversation. It doesn't mean she's going to be romantically interested in you, but you aren't going to be likely to have a problem.
Okay. So what would be your number one tip for that area? I mean, I feel like it's just so hard it's like we were talking about, the technology makes people way less confident, because online they can just have this like anonymous face and make a comment on something, or they can send a DM to someone without any type of repercussions, or without feeling really nervous or scared or whatever.
Getting rejected. The rejection feels a lot less.
Yeah. So how can you minimize that feeling in real life, that rejection feeling, or how do you get through that fear of rejection? Because on the other side of rejection is something beautiful, right? Yeah. So how do you get through that?
So part of it is just reps. If you're approaching one woman a month, you're probably going to feel really nervous. And then when it doesn't work out, you're going to feel really dejected because it's like, oh, that was my one shot. Where if you just are in the habit and have the ability to approach one woman a day or multiple people a day, and you're less hung up on the outcome, rejection is not going to sting so much. If you aren't getting rejected, you aren't talking to and approaching enough people. And I like to reframe rejection as redirection. You don't need to think like, first of all, this is a stranger. She doesn't know anything about you. So we shouldn't put too much emphasis or weight on her opinion or not being interested. There are a million reasons that have nothing to do with you that are the reason she might not want to, you know, give you her phone number. She might not be single. She might not be interested in men. She might just be having a bad day. You might not be her type. And those aren't things that are any reflection of you as a man or as a person. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah. Do you, I don't know. I feel like I have dealt personally as like an adolescent, a teenager, and even a young adult. I feel like I dealt with some like awkwardness and shyness and like afraid to be outgoing. And I don't know, for me, what helped was literally just forcing myself to talk to people, not even women.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm grateful to have met my girlfriend in real life through like a natural connection that way. But I remember back when I was awkward and shy, I think that the thing I did the most was just like saying hi to strangers, not even women, just like striking up a quick conversation like, hey, I hope you're having, like, how's your day going or whatever. And that just led into me being more confident about speaking to people. And that was probably the biggest thing that helped me, was just doing, like you said, reps. Everything in life is truly a reps game. That's what makes you better at everything. But something interesting that I was kind of thinking about as I was driving over here this morning is on the technology side of things. When I'm not referring to the dating apps, we have OnlyFans nowadays,
Yeah.
and we have pornography as a whole. And I feel like it's a little bit taboo to talk about. It's a little bit uncomfortable for people to talk about. But do you think that OnlyFans and pornography as a whole plays a part in the problem with dating and human connection and interaction as well?
Yeah, so I think part of that top of funnel, whether it's OnlyFans or even just Instagram, it gives the illusion that you're talking to or interacting with a lot of women, even if you're not. So I always tell guys, I want you to keep an approach journal, and I want you to write down every woman you actually talk to, and like that you don't know. And they're usually very surprised, like, wow, I've gone weeks and I haven't actually talked to a woman, but they're seeing these women on OnlyFans or on Instagram, these attractive women, so they have a misconception that they're actually interacting or getting FaceTime with them, or that those women are within reach, when the reality is those women aren't within reach.
Yeah, and especially with the whole OnlyFans thing, I've never used it as a consumer or a creator, and so I'm not like super familiar with the platform, but from my understanding, you're basically paying for content, but also you can pay extra to like interact with women. And that to me, I'm not judging anyone that uses it, whether a consumer or creator. I just don't understand paying to have a conversation with a woman that you know is probably like some 18-year-old kid like DMing you back like weird shit that, you know, it's a whole weird thing. But I absolutely see how that plays such a negative role in men's health as a general. Whether you're single or in a relationship, I think it could actually be way worse if you're in a relationship and using pornography or OnlyFans, or even just like skimpy stuff you might see on Instagram as like a fantasy or like a wish or whatever. I don't think that, I don't know, maybe this is a hot take. I don't really think it should be normalized that much. I think it's great that people have found this avenue to make a career out of doing that.
The creators, I'm like, get it. Like,
and I
good
think
for you.
And I think that some people have done a really good job of like taking emotion out of it and not letting it affect their mental health. But on the other side, I think that there are a lot of women who, like, it has affected their mental health in a negative way. But also the men that are using that as their social interaction, I don't know. It's tough and it's sad, and
they're using it as a crutch, and then it makes them less likely, because okay, they're getting that dopamine hit. They feel like they're getting that attention, that validation. Even if they're paying for it, you can tell yourself anything. So then it prevents them from getting off their couch and going and having interactions with real women, because they're getting that fulfillment, even though it's not the same, in a different way, in a not frankly healthy way, or a way that's going to lead to procreation and long-term relationship.
Dang, you said it really great. You said the validation thing, right? Like, they're validating them to themselves that they're talking to women, that they're a player, that they're hot shit, but they're just like talking to women online. So then they go in real life, and now they're this like toxic dude who thinks they're the shit. And it's really interesting how that side of technology has created some quote unquote toxic masculinity, like unknowingly. And it's just happening to people subconsciously.
It also creates, I think, an unrealistic expectation around what you should be getting. Like, social media and OnlyFans has made the dating market global as opposed to local. So, 40 years ago, okay, there were maybe like 2 really hot girls in your town, and that's who like you had your shot with. And then there was a lot of like really awesome, like more quote regular people that you might not see, like you wouldn't expect to be on the cover of a magazine, also great partners. But now all 2 hot girls from every single little town have a huge Instagram that everybody is seeing. And so a lot of men feel like, oh, like, that's the average. Like, I should be with a woman who looks like that. When the reality is, 1, a lot of those women don't actually look like that in person, and 2, that's like a unique beauty set, or that's a unique look. You just feel like everyone is that beautiful because that's what social media or media generally is feeding you and telling you. So then you look at an average girl and you're like, not really into it. When the reality is like, That could be your person. That could be an amazing partner for you.
Right, and that's tough. That I feel like that probably limits a lot of opportunity for
men. I think
men.
that goes for men and women.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's the same thing. There's just as many male, probably not just as many, but there are still a ton of male content creators in that niche and in that OnlyFans category or whatever.
I'd be curious what % of users on OnlyFans are men versus women. I bet it's way more men.
Oh, 1000%.
Like
even on the men's
90%.
OnlyFans pages.
Yeah, it's men.
Because it's the same way in my DMs. It's like, even when I was single, I'm still not like, I would get the occasional message from a woman saying that I'm cute or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's an overwhelmingly more amount of men
Really?
saying like, step on me or sell me your shoes or just like weird shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for my other like guy creator friends that they're like, yeah, dude, I'll get a couple DMs from girls every now and then, but it's mostly men that are hitting on me in my DMs. And I think it's hilarious. So I think we said it's true.
That makes sense. Evolutionarily, it is the man who pursues the woman. So women are going to be less likely to be the one taking the risk, shooting their shot. Men are expected in nature to be the one in almost all mammals that goes after the woman. And that's the same with dating as well. And I get comments or I hear from men, it's like, women should be approaching us. Like, women can approach us too. And it's like, okay, sure, they can, but they don't have to. That's just like not the way nature works. So you can either complain about it and bitch that women aren't doing, like, all the onus is on the man, the women aren't doing enough. Or you can learn how to approach women and start getting results.
For sure. And how about on the flip side though? So women approaching men or complimenting men or whatever, do you think that that's a good thing? It doesn't happen a ton.
No, I'm for it. Sure, if a woman wants to do that, if she has the confidence to do that, hell yeah, more power to her. I'm fully supportive. But men can't rely on that and wait around for it to happen because it's not realistic looking at it from an evolutionary biology standpoint.
Yeah, 100%. So speaking to the women for a minute, do you think that, like, just your opinion, do you think that women should do that more? So if a woman is actively dating or actively trying to find a partner, do you think that they should be more open to complimenting a guy they see with a great outfit or a guy with like a great haircut or a nice smile or beard or whatever? Do you think they should compliment men more?
Oh yeah, ladies, get out there, start approaching men. If you're single and you want to meet guys, shoot your shot. They will love it. I'm absolutely for it. Doesn't mean you need to aggressively approach, you know? But like just like giving them that opening, like the smile or like the smile and nod or paying a compliment that you like their outfit will go a very long way if you want to meet more people.
Okay, cool. So ladies, do your thing, don't be shy. And men, same goes for you, because you have a higher chance of you approaching a woman than you do of a woman approaching you. So, Blaine, you're married, you are pregnant, you're 7 months pregnant. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Meeting your husband, you know, when you met him for the first time, you know, but I don't know, did you meet him when you were a dating coach or before?
No, before.
Okay.
And I met him in person.
Okay. And so so the advice you give to guys, was there, like, unintentionally, was there anything he did that like now plays into the advice that you're giving men?
Definitely. So I met him at the gym. I met him at Barry's Boot Camp, which is a workout class. I'm a big proponent of workout classes as a means for meeting both men and women. There's a natural stop and start point, so people are hanging out and mingling before and after, which is very different than an open gym format where it's like you have to approach someone while they're working out, which is a no-no. So he approached me after a class, and this is another thing I teach at the gym. The gym is a safe space, so you're not going to just go around hitting on every woman or man and asking for their phone number. You need to establish some trust before they are going to be willing to entertain that type of interaction with someone they're probably going to see repeatedly again. So my husband, at the time stranger, comes up, introduces himself, mentioned, oh, like I see you here at this class a lot. I just wanted to say hey. Introduce himself, we say hi, that's it. He's like, cool, have a good day, leaves. Doesn't ask for my phone number, doesn't hit on me, like very just pleasant conversation. But now we've met each other. So now when we take that class, because we were going to the same class like multiple times a week, we would chat before or after. He would say hey again, I would say hi to him, and we would have brief conversations. And over a few conversations, we realized, oh, we have things in common. We actually ended up having some mutual friends even. And so he established enough connection to then invite, he was having a party, he was having a housewarming party, so invited me to that.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't rushed. I now was like, oh, okay, this guy is cool. We have things in common. You know, we've had good conversation. He's not just like some stranger who, if I go on a date and I don't like him, I'm going to now have to see at the gym 3 times a week.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a pretty natural progression.
Yeah, and I think in places like the gym or any place I call high stigma, like at work, like she's working there, you're working there, you both work there. Any place you're going, might be a hobby, like a pickleball league. If you're going to see this person every single week, you need to build up that connection before asking them out. Versus at the grocery store, at a bar, you can, you know, ask in the first conversation.
Yeah, I mean, why rush it?
Yeah.
Good things are never rushed.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. I feel like, and no matter what the category of life is, taking things slow, letting things naturally progress as they will, is for sure the best way to go about it. So, and how long ago was that you met your husband?
That was 5 years ago.
Okay.
6?
Yeah.
5?
And how long do you guys date before he proposed?
We dated for 2 years, and then we got engaged, and then we were engaged for a year, and then we got married.
Okay. And so in your relationship, this is kind of like, I don't know, if we're looking at the timeline of, okay, you met somebody and now things have progressed and now you've gone on dates and now you're actually dating and you're official. What are some of the things that you did when you were dating to maintain a healthy relationship, to build as a team, but also maintain your individualism? What are some of the things that you would do or did in that scenario?
Yeah, well, I think you touched on one of them. I think not rushing is key. I think a problem a lot of my clients fall into is the tendency to overinvest. So they see a woman, they match, even maybe they match with a woman, and all of a sudden they're imagining a future together. Or even they go on one date and they're thinking about what it would look like to marry her, when that is, you don't know her yet. You are putting way too much pressure on the situation for both yourself, and she's going to pick up on that, so for her as well. So really making sure your level of investment is appropriate to where you are in the relationship. And that's usually a little bit slower than a lot of people tend to think, because we do live in such an instant world where things move fast and I want to go all in, but oftentimes that can lead to things burning out, rather than a slow burn of really getting to know each other.
Yeah.
So this is like controversial sometimes, but I'm a big proponent of dating multiple people. So not necessarily, obviously not if you're exclusive, you need to be honest, but if you've only been on a few dates with somebody, you should still be meeting and dating other people. That's going to help you not overinvest and put too much pressure on that one relationship. And it's just going to keep you more, I don't like the idea of playing games, but everyone wants somebody who is desired. So if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, like, what does that tell her about you? That you don't have other options. Where if you're dating a few people, you know yourself, you have options, so you're going to behave in a way that is different than if, like, I have to make it work with this one girl.
Yeah.
If that one girl isn't the right fit for you, whatever, no problem. I have been on dates with other girls this week, or I have another date set up for next week.
Yeah.
So early on, I'm a big fan of, like, actually dating around.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially the part where you said if someone feels like they have to make something work, it's probably not the best thing for them.
Yeah.
I feel like forcing anything, of course there's going to be, okay, let's just say they've been dating already for a while. Of course there's going to be hard times where if you are committed to somebody, you just work through them. But if it's becoming such a task where it's like force this,
or
force
early
that,
on,
yeah, it's better to just call it what it is and go back to yourself. Because from what I've experienced, the best way to also attract somebody is by literally being the most authentic version of yourself that you can be, or at least to attract the right person. Right? You could be some sort of like persona that you think women are gonna like, and then it comes down to 2 months into the relationship, and now it's like, I'm exposed. That's not really who I am, and now she doesn't like me anymore, or the relationship is going down.
You're faking it.
Yeah, and then like men are like, oh my God, what happened? Like, why did we fall out of love? And it's like, oh, because you were not being yourself. And honestly, you probably love bombed at the beginning. Love bombing is such a problem.
Yeah, it's kind of like the overinvestment.
Yeah,
Same
exactly. 100%. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Because I feel like my experience with relationships, I have been on the love bombing side. Like I've done that. And then I've also had that done to me. And so now I feel like now I'm in a relationship where I've experienced enough to go into it level-headed and know how to communicate and not do either of those things. Or if I notice something myself doing something like that, I'll just check myself or communicate it.
Yeah.
And with communication, what do you think is the hardest part about communication for couples?
I think communication in general, honestly, whether it's like couples or business relationships and any type of relationship, is people tend to shy away from saying the hard thing. And often the thing that you don't want to say or the thing that's going to be hard is what actually needs to be said. So you don't want to give somebody feedback, or you don't want to say what's, you know, kind of bothering you or on your mind or what you're insecure about. So because it could lead to an awkward conversation, it might even lead to realizing this isn't a good fit or a breakup, and people tend to avoid conflict.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that comes up in all relationships.
Yeah. Have you dealt with that in your relationship?
I think that's one of the reasons my husband and I work, is because he is especially very good at just like saying the thing that's on his mind and addressing it head on, rather than sort of like putting it, you know, sweeping it under the rug or not saying it. So I think that's why our relationship worked, because I definitely could have the tendency more to like not want to rock the boat.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that even in a relationship, if one of the parties is more like that than the other one, it can help bring out the communication from the other person. And I noticed that it's kind of like that with my girlfriend and I, is to where we both do a good job of communicating, but in a tough situation, one of us will initiate the harder conversation. But as soon as one of us initiates it, the other side is like, it's almost like a comfort thing. It's almost like, okay, this person cares about me enough to be honest with me. Yeah. And that's so important.
Yeah,
like you said,
one of the people just buries their head and doesn't want to talk about it, then it's not going to work.
That just leads to resentments and super
How long
toxicness.
have you and your girlfriend been together?
Almost 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's been a learning experience, but it's been amazing because I met her. You know, I was at a point in my life where I ended a relationship because I kind of had lost myself. I had done love bombing at the beginning, so I actually wasn't in love with this person. I was in love with like this idea that I created about myself that ended up matching with. So anyways, I ended that relationship, and honestly, I went to therapy and I started really digging deep into who I am. And a couple months into doing all that work is when I met my girlfriend now, and we literally, kind of like we chatted about, we took things so slow. It started as like we would go out in a group of friends and we just were acquaintances, and then turns out we lived in the same apartment complex and we had no idea. And then she would ask me for some like social media advice for her business, and then from there it was like, oh wow, we're having really great conversation. Like I think literally like the first or second time she came over to my apartment just to chat about business stuff, we ended up talking for 12 hours. You know, and so we talked literally all night long, and then we were just like, dang, this person's really cool. But even then, we were both very conscious of making sure that we were friends, because both of us had been in, you know, toxic, poor relationships in the past. And so we didn't want to jump into anything or fill a void. And so literally, as we were being friends, I know that both of us in our minds were just like, let's just adventure, let's just hang out and have fun together and be friends. And so after doing that for a couple months, we were watching a movie, and I was like, actually, we were watching a movie, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put my arm around her. I think the energy is there, and so I'm gonna put my arm around her, and I put my arm around her, and then she goes, no. And like puts my arm off her, and it was kind of awkward, but it was funny. And then we just kind of left it at that, and everything was fine, whatever. Then the next day, we were watching a movie again, or I think we were just watching another movie or a show, and I was like, hey, so the energy between us, I think that the chemistry is real. I think that it's more than friends.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm not filling a void and you're not filling a void either. But I would love to put my arm around you and like cuddle with you as we're watching this movie.
Yeah.
And then we did. And
what was her response? Did she address why she'd said no the night before?
She just said it like caught her off guard.
Yeah.
It was just like, she wasn't necessarily uncomfortable, but it just like caught her off guard.
Yeah.
And so, but she was like, we were both in agreement that we just continue to take things slow. And now here we are. And I think that taking things slow, being friends and being conscious that we both are ready to get into a relationship has led to like the success that we've, you know, to the happiness that we have now.
Well, I love that you addressed it head on and you just like called out the elephant in the room. I get that question all the time is like, oh, I have this girl I'm friends with. Like, how can I ask her out or how can I make a move? And I like the approach of just talking about it, like saying like, hey, I really value our friendship and I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that, but lately I've also been seeing you as more than a friend, and if you're open to it, I would like to explore that with you.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, because when I did put my arm around her first, I don't think you necessarily need to ask for permission. Like as long, like you have to read the room and understand the body language and the emotion and the energy that's going on. But I don't necessarily think you have to ask for permission to like put your arm around somebody.
Well, definitely if you're on a date, you don't need to. But like to your point, you took her by surprise because she was like, oh, we're friends.
Yeah.
So if like you went for a kiss, that would have been like,
oh
whoa,
yeah,
what?
oh my God. Yeah, I remember even our first kiss. I was like, I would really love to kiss you. I even like asked her. I was like, I would love to kiss you. Like, is that okay?
Yeah.
And then, anyways,
that's how I recommend asking for a kiss, because I talk about that too. Like, if you're not sure about the vibe on a date, on if it's first date, second date, whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't know if like the vibe is right. Again, you don't have to ask, but then just say you want to kiss her. You don't have to say, can I kiss you? It's a lot sexier to say like, oh, I'd really like to kiss you right now. Yeah. And that's also asking, you know?
Yeah. And
as long as you don't just like go for it right after saying that.
And I feel like that's pretty romantic too.
Yeah.
Like it makes, I feel like that just saying that makes somebody feel wanted and feel respected.
Yeah.
And that's like an instant, I feel like for women, from my perspective, being respected is probably like a huge turn on.
Yeah, and that, whether it's kissing or something further, escalating things physically, the saying what you want to do is a great way to test the waters. Like, I really want to take your shirt off right now, or I really want to touch you right now, you know, whatever it is. Like, that's a good way to escalate things physically in an appropriate way and give her a chance to be like, no, not yet, or like, yes, I want that too.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think that the last couple minutes have been seriously awesome. Just, I think that if you're a dude or a girl, just go back and listen to the last couple minutes, because it's been really, I think there's been some great insight into relationships that have made it a little further than just a first date.
Yeah.
But speaking of escalating things further, you're pregnant, and what a great transition, right? So you're pregnant, you're 7 months pregnant, and you're having a baby girl.
Yep.
Hopefully you've already revealed that to the world. I'm not like dropping this.
No, I have. I've shared it on my Instagram.
And you guys were ready to have children, right?
Yeah. We were married for 2 years. Like, we've been married for just over 2 years now, and I'm 7 months pregnant, so you can do the math there. I've always wanted to have kids, so has my husband. So like, we're really excited about it. Yeah.
So when you were a kid, was there someone in your life that you looked up to or that helped shape you into who you are as an adult?
It sounds like cheesy, but I feel like my parents are great role models for the type of relationship I want to have with my husband. My parents are still together. I'm really good friends with them. My husband loves them. We spend time with them. My friends are friends with them. But it wasn't always like that. They weren't my friends when I was in high school, for example. Yeah. They had their boundaries. They had restrictions, that we butted heads. But I think ultimately that, made me who I am today, and I really admire them.
Yeah. So going into being a new mom soon, are you having any fears? How do you feel about becoming a mom?
I feel good about it. I feel like I'm a very maternal person. Like, I have pets and I love taking care of them. So I'm actually not worried about the baby aspect of it. I feel like that's going to be intuitive and come naturally. My biggest the thing that's on my mind the most is, okay, how am I going to balance that with my work? With, my courses and with being a dating coach and how that will look. And I'm not sure how it's going to look. It'll take time, but that's definitely the biggest thing on my mind about having a baby.
Yeah, I feel like so my girlfriend's business partner had a baby, and now she's just had her second baby, and it was definitely like a transition experience because you have to take some time off, when the baby's born, and like to figure out how to do this thing. But what I saw is that after a couple of months, her partner was ready to come back to work. But she had this new version of herself that was so strongly a mom, and like set these hard boundaries of like, this is when I'm going to be with my baby, and this is, and so it was really cool to see, just to know that it is for sure possible to be able to be a great parent, but also be super successful in business too, and one doesn't have to come at the cost of the other.
And I think that's I love hearing that, and I love hearing stories about other people, because it's very different being a business owner. It's like, if I don't work, I don't make money, versus like I have friends who work in corporate America, and sometimes that's soul sucking, but also they're getting like 5 months paid maternity leave, and they come back and their job is there and everything's the same, and it's like, whoa, that sounds amazing. Where it's like nothing's guaranteed, so if I take a couple months off, like my business might not bounce back from that. So like I do plan to take time off, and I'm going to, but it's definitely something that is on my mind, and we'll have to figure out how it goes.
I think you'll be great.
I love what I do. I love helping guys. I didn't touch on this earlier, but like the reason I do what I do is for the testimonials. Like I get wedding invitations, I've had baby announcements, like hearing like, wow, you changed my life, I met somebody who I wouldn't have met otherwise, it warms my soul. It makes me so happy. So I also I get a lot of fulfillment, and I'm just so grateful that I get to do what I do, that I want to keep doing it.
Outside of that, what other things bring you fulfillment? So outside of your business and helping these people find happiness, and essentially helping people find happiness in life, right? What are some of the other things that fulfill you?
So I have a variety of hobbies that I'm really into. I really like making bread, so I make different types of sourdough. Did
that start during the pandemic?
It didn't. It started after. That's like everyone's question. It started after the pandemic, but now I'm really into it. I really like playing pickleball, which I know you're a pickleballer. I'm in a book club that I started and I really enjoy. I really like playing Mahjong. Are you familiar with Mahjong?
I know what it is.
I play Mahjong with my friends. So all of those are activities that, and I think the sort of like intersection of commonality between all of those things is they bring me closer to people I care about. Like I get to spend time with friends in all of those scenarios. Even with the sourdough, it's like I get to feed people I care about. It's like a gift I give to people when I visit them, and that sort of thing. So I'd say that's what gives me a lot of fulfillment.
I feel like you've shared a ton of great insight. One, about the dating world and kind of how men's brains and women's brains work when it comes to that stuff. Two, relationships and kind of life in general, just figuring out who you are and where you're going. So the last thing that I really like to chat about is, there's a question that we get asked when we're a kid, an adolescent, and teenager, and college too. And it's like, who do you want to be when you grow up? And it's such a huge question to ask somebody at such a young age. It's like, oh, I have no idea. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a basketball player, whatever. And I'm somebody who thinks that we never stop growing up. And so I like to ask that to my adult guests is, who do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think being 7 months pregnant, my brain is sort of hyper-focused right now on being a mom and what that is going to be like. So that's definitely at the forefront, is like, I want to be a good mom. Whether, it's like to a newborn baby or to an adult many years from now. And then I also want to continue to be an entrepreneur. I think my business is going to continue to develop. Even in the past year, I've started doing a lot of matchmaking. So I also do matchmaking for those people out there who don't necessarily need coaching. So I just want to continue. And so I'm not sure what, 10 years from now my business looks like. But I want to own my own business. I want to control my schedule, and I want to continue to help and serve people.
Yeah, I love that. I think that a lot of people can share in that common goal of just wanting to serve, you know, wanting to help people. It's such a fulfilling thing.
Yeah.
And that's like, you can do it in so many different ways. So I have been able to find a way to help people by making low calorie coffee recipes. It's a very like super niche thing, but I get messages to where it's made a ton of difference in so many people's lives.
I love that, yeah.
And I don't know, I think that if there's one thing about growing up or, you know, growing as a human, I don't know, to me it's just finding the thing that you can feel fulfillment from. And
Definitely.
it's tricky to do. It takes some time to do, but once you do, and then once you live in that, I feel like life becomes infinitely better. Blaine, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for making some coffee with me and opening up about everything that I asked. For her socials, I'll drop them all in the notes and below. But yeah, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I know that what you shared was going to be highly valuable for a lot of people, so I can't wait for the episode to air. And yeah, thanks again.
Cool, thank you.
Cheers, guys.